Hello, good afternoon, or good evening almost. No, good afternoon, good morning. So let's wait a couple of more seconds. Well, welcome everybody to today's LinkedIn Live session on the experience and the journey of the masterclass. We're talking today with one of our faculty members, which is actually like Paul Tuczynski and Andreas Leubel, one of our alumni. There you go. Hello, you two. Hello to Arizona and to Freiburg.
Hi there.
Hello
How
there.
are you? How are you two?
I'm good. I'm good for a Monday. I love Monday. It's the beauty of a new week. So
I hear you. Yes. And the weather looks pretty nice, Paul.
it's going to be where I live. It's going to be 2 Celsius today. So
I think Paul is maybe
4 or 5 p.m.
breaking up a little. Okay, now Paul is
Oh.
back. I think you were
okay?
breaking up a little bit. Yes,
Oh.
you're good.
So it's
But
30. It's going to be like 32 today, and sunny and beautiful.
And we talk 32 degrees Celsius, right? And we're looking
Yes.
out here in Amsterdam. It's like 6 degrees, but sunny.
Ooh.
It's a rainy day in Freiburg as well. But we are known as one of the most sunniest places in Germany normally. But right now I'm jealous.
Well, it's okay to be jealous until you get to July and August where it goes over 40 Celsius. And then I would rather be in Freiburg than be in Arizona.
That's right. Well, it's great having you two here and to give our audience, whoever is going to show up today, a little bit more insights about our masterclass. I mean, you two know best, I would say. Paul, who has been delivering masterclasses, I think, since quite a couple of years, right?
Actually, I think I taught the first masterclass, which was probably 2013 or 2014.
Right. So that's 10 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Well, it's changed a little bit over the time, but thank you.
Yeah. But that's the good thing about it. And I think we're going to dive a little bit into that actually the EODF Masterclass is pretty unique amongst the OD Masterclasses. And I think Andreas will tell us a little bit about that, what his experience was. And just to start out, can you guys just like introduce yourself a little bit, just like 2 sentences?
I'm Paul Tuczynski. I'm one of the co-founders of the EODF way back in the day. And I've been a practicing organization designer for probably 35 years.
That's a long time. Andreas, what about you?
It is a long time.
Not such a long time. Yes, Andreas Leubel. Hi, everybody. I studied initially marketing and then moved over to HR and organizational design, basically to enable people to be at their best. That's my basic motivation that drives me. And I spent the last 14 years in a big pharma company doing internal organizational development consulting, mostly change management, team effectiveness, not so much organizational design.
Thank you, Andreas. Hey, Paul, would you mind tell us a little bit about the masterclass and what makes it unique, let's say?
I'd be happy to. First, a little bit of the history. That when the EODF was founded 13 years ago now, the community of people who made up the EODF was a hugely diverse, very eclectic community of people. Even the term organization design was not in everybody's vocabulary. People use different words or different phrases. In Freiburg, maybe they talk systemic consulting, or they had some other label or framework, or they were coming from the software industry and enterprise architecture and agile communities. And so there wasn't a common basis for even the discussion about organization design. And so the board decided that we actually needed two things. We needed one, an offering that could build common ground so that we could at least begin to imagine that we were talking about the same thing when we used the term org design. And the second was, quite frankly, to create an awareness for a profession called organization design that people might be interested in. Creating great places to work is certainly an inspiring and motivating thing to do, and so we decided to create the masterclass. And the masterclass, first, is it takes people on a journey from an opening discussion about why do we do things the way we do to some implementation, for changing the way we do what we do. And so the masterclass was imagined as a journey, and over the course of the workshop, you go through the process. What makes this masterclass different, I think, Tina, is it doesn't take a position on how to do organization design, right? There are hundreds of ways to do organization design. Every practitioner does it slightly different. There's no universal agreed upon methodology, and so our course is more of a survey of what's out there and how you think about design than it is trying to convince you that there's one way to do something when in fact there's not. And so that's the thing that really makes the course stand out, I think, is we give you breadth of understanding so that you can figure out for yourself where you want more depth, right? I think that's the key. The second thing is the faculty is quite experienced. We all have our war stories. We all have our cases. We all have our experiences. And so what you're getting is a conversation with people who have been there and done that. And sometimes it worked really well and sometimes it didn't. So you learn both the good and the bad. I think that's, when I think about what makes the masterclass special, those are the things I think about.
Amazing. Andreas, what do you think about it?
That's cool. I could just say, yeah, follow Paul. Everything he said. But
that's too easy.
Two things. Organizational design, and it's like Paul has explained. I just said I like to enable people to be at their best. However, we are all professionals, and we know behavior is influenced and massively by the system that is around us. So if we want to enable people to be at their best in organizations, to look at organizational design and understand, like Paul said, how people behave and how we might change that behavior, that's a critical factor. So it's really interesting to look into organizational design. The second piece is when we talk about the masterclass, I have been part of the EODF before. So my first decision was not to join the EODF Masterclass on organizational design. My first decision was to join the EODF and get to know a lot of great people there. And then even learn some of them are faculty of the masterclass. And I think that was a big driver for me to say, okay, I want to learn more about organizational design. I've so far no more come from a change management day-to-day design perspective, and now let's get more on the initial design or redesign piece, and you get the opportunity there to learn from people who do it. And as Paul said, also really interesting, EODF consists of a very diverse group of people. And in our masterclass, we had 3 different people telling us something about organizational design. That gives you the opportunity to really learn different models, different cases, different views on organizational design. If you attend something else, you are often get exposed to this is our model, and this is how you do organizational design also in the future. And that was not what I was looking for.
I think that, the the course, the EODF is an umbrella for a lot of diversity, right? You know, and it's always been inclusive, you know, and so in the course, we include as many of the different perspectives as we can, right? You know, and the idea is to enable you as the participant to decide for yourself what you believe and what works for you, you know, and what will work for your clients. And so we're trying to give you breadth while at the same time giving you hands-on practice with tools and templates and things like that that are part of the design process. You know, design looks very different if you're in the CEO's office than if you're in the shop floor, right? You know, and so understanding the different nuances of design, depending on the level of organization you're talking about, is really important. You know, it could look very, very different from the top to the bottom in terms of the conversations and everything that you have. So we're trying to expose you to all of that in a very, we call it fast track, right? And so it's a little bit, in American English, we say drinking from a fire hydrant. Right? It's coming at you fast and pretty hard. And so, you have to periodically sort of step back and take a deep breath.
Which is true. And I like that idea of a fast track. I have to admit, I like also reading. So in terms of, it gave also a lot of impulses in terms of, okay, what should I read again or what should I read next? Two really interesting things was, I was desperately remembering an article I had read, and I was already looking for half a year for that article. And then one of the pre-reads that was sent around was actually exactly
that
article. It's, by the way, the classic from Lawrence and Lorsch on integration. So a really big one. It's really interesting because it talks about interface design. I mean, it's written in the 60s, and it's still so true about interface design and what really matters there. But I was desperately looking for that article. Then I got it in the pre-read, so that was already worth basically joining that master class.
It is a classic. It really is, Andreas, a classic, right? That's so relevant today because basically what they're saying is that you need to find ways to manage complexity, right? Yeah. And sort of live in the chaos. As soon as you differentiate, you need to integrate. When you integrate, people immediately want to differentiate, you know, and so how you navigate this continuum, right? Yeah. And this interfacing, right? It really is. It's we don't have a lot of classics in the master class, but we have probably one for every module or every two sessions, right? There's at least one good classic like Lawrence and Lorsch. That's good. I love it.
The only caveat that comes with it, but that's you can manage, that is you get so much, and there are the practitioners, the faculty who are knowledgeable and have experience. Normally, most of the participants have also more or less experience with organizational design. So you really get into a good exchange with everybody. And the masterclass, but also needs you to progress. So some of those great contacts you are creating, you have to follow through separately, and then join, add to your network, and have fantastic conversations afterwards.
Well, it's a really good point that you make, because in the last masterclass, for example, that I did with US group, and there were 3 people from the same company who each had different client experiences within the bigger organization that they work with, and they didn't have a common methodology. They each had sort of, quote, done their own thing. And coming out of the masterclass, they asked me if I would mentor the 3 of them as they tried to figure out how to integrate, right, the different thinking from the 3 of them, plus what they'd learned from the masterclass. You know, and so over the course of the last couple of months, I've spent a couple hours a month just talking about how they apply what they did and how they can fine tune to create a robust process that they could then feel confident taking out to their leaders, right? So coming out of the masterclass, you have the opportunity for mentoring, right? And in this particular case, that's what they asked for, right? And I think it's fabulous because they'll come out with a guidebook, they'll come out with their version of tools, and they understand that you never do everything fully. You always pick and choose depending on the client. So it's been a lot of fun. The conversations after always go back to, well, remember what we did in the masterclass. Yeah. So I think your point is it's really a good one. There's as much learning occurring after as it happens in, right? Because it's ongoing.
And I think it's must. I think there are indicators when should you attend the masterclass, and there are indicators when would it perhaps not be the best thing for you. So you should be ready to experiment and apply. You should be ready to follow through and read, and not only think you get everything you need at the masterclass. There will be there. We had input. We had a lot of exercises also. The exercises basically teach you are not yet there, so you have to do more. So that's what you need, because it's a fast track. It's not a 1-year program where you're just getting taken and you are here as a beginner and you are out there as an expert. It needs the discipline from yourself that you follow through and invest into it.
Yeah, I agree. And it's well, I think whether you come out of the master class with a mentor or just somebody within the cohort that you really like, right? That you partner up and process what you learn, right? I mean, there's at least a couple weeks between the episodes, the modules, so that you get a little bit of soak time. Right?
Actually, the June one, Paul, I think is really a fast track, because it's
like
going to start June 6th and it's going to end June 21st. So that's a real fast track. But it also has its benefits, of course, right? So it's still happening before the summer break, and so that's really nice. But
that was the idea. The idea was to try to get it in before everybody went on holiday.
Exactly.
So that while they're on holiday, they can use their holiday for soak time. There you go.
Yeah, and let's not forget. So if you want to apply, it's good to understand the whole piece. So basically, if you attend a 1-year program and you only learn about implementation and day-to-day design in 6 months, but you start a project in 3 months, it's good to have the overview before and understand what you want to do. So getting all the input here and then have the discipline to follow through, as Paul said, with a peer from the course or with the mentoring you can get from EODF. Perhaps also with that great opportunity that you can actually apply with the master class for an OD accreditation. So there is a lot that can help you to apply and get even more benefits, but it needs self-management as well. But I think all of us have that if we are in that profession.
Well, what you remind me is, the course. I think if I reflect on the course, Andreas, it's 60%, 70% the how to do design. It's the journey, right? And the conversations that need to occur, with lots of discussions about who decides and how do they decide, and things like that. There's a little less time on all of the design choices. Right? We don't debate and deliberate, should we be geographically organized or product organized or something like that. But we make the inputs to that available to people in lots of ways. You can always read Naomi Stanford's book or Nicolai Warren's book. And so you get a bibliography of, if you want what are the 10 choices, they're there for you, right? But it's more, how do you engage an organization in deliberating and deciding among those choices, right? Not being prescriptive about, well, we should be X or Y. How do we do that, right? So, and I think that's part of what I think attracts people is in most of the literature and most of the work, the how you do design, it takes a background to the what choices, self-managed, team-based, right? These outcomes, and yet design as a journey shouldn't presume an outcome. It should be co-created. My bias is obviously coming through. If you're gonna, right? And now that I listen to myself say that, my bias is coming through about how you do design. But the exploration is a lot about how do you actually engage and get leaders and everybody involved in a way that builds ownership and commitment to the final solutions. It's as much change management as it is org design sometimes, right?
And for who do you think this masterclass is good? What do people need some kind of education up front, or who would be the best profile to dive into the masterclass, you think?
Andreas, who do you think?
That's not an easy question. It definitely worked for me. Huh? With a lot of experience in topics that are related, strongly related, and with a lot of experience being in an organization and understanding it. But I think basically it can work for everybody who has an interest, because it gives you an initial understanding of the process. But as said, for me, my participant background, having worked in organizations for a long time, having done change management and things like that, for that it worked very well. If I would have started as a total novice, I'm not sure.
Well, when you and I were talking, Andreas, before this session, you I think it was you said, the other answer to the question, Tina, is if you believe that simple solutions don't work. I think the example we were talking about is training. So we both came from a training background, right? And I thought, if I put a gun to your head and your life depends on it, and you can do the work, it's not a training problem, And so if I think as a person interested in this course, if you're frustrated with simple solutions, right, and one-off kinds of ideas, and you believe that the answer is systemic, then this is an exploration in how you take the pieces and the parts of an organization and reconfigure them in a way that creates a better solution, right? That the system enables people, to what Andreas said in his very opening, right? It enables and inspires people. So I think if you're curious about how to do that or how to pull all those pieces together, and you believe that it's not a training problem or a technology problem or a situational problem, but a systemic problem, right? That's what org design's about, right?
That's fair. That's fair, Paul. And I can add to that. So if you're comfortable with the relative messiness you're getting into with that, as you said, if you're interested to really solve problems and understand that they are more complex than you would like them to be, and the course gives you an understanding to understand that complexity and then to do something about that complexity. Learn some levers and linked levers, systemic design. Then that's a course for you. So curiosity is your answer.
So if you're an HR business partner, if you're an organization development partner who feels like you're doing good at the individual level, systems, and how do you integrate org design your org development thinking? That would also.
I think we're
I
almost
hope
losing you here, Paul. You're
your
breaking up a little bit.
Oh,
I think Paul is breaking up, Andreas. Do you, right? But
Yeah,
I
me
do think.
neither.
did I lose you guys?
Oh, now you're back.
No, we have you back, Paul.
Yeah, we have you back. You're breaking up a little. Oh,
no, he's.
okay. Now
I think he just said something about HR business
okay.
partners, which is indeed true, because there is a more and more move from HR business partners really into strategic business partnering, which automatically implies more understanding of organizational design. And normally, yeah, if you're an HR business partner, you will get closer and closer to those moments where your organization will have to reorganize, because reality is also, we are changing consistently. The old unfreeze and refreeze from Kurt Lewin is well, the rhythm got faster. We unfreeze and refreeze again, but perhaps now we do it in months. And previously we did it in years or so, 5 years rhythm. So it's absolutely right. And I agree with Paul that if there is curiosity.
And every organization has its own rhythm, right? Like the corporate rebels were like sharing today a video they made, and it also says every organization has its own rhythm, right? Its own heartbeat, let's say. So obviously for that we need to adapt. We need to be adaptive in our in our mindset and how we are designing organizations and support these ecosystems to function, right? And what I heard is, I think the EODF Masterclass would be then the perfect go-to masterclass for people who are interested in. Oh yeah, I see Lorena is also, she is sharing the link here. So for people who are interested in, they can register here. And now I would also open it for questions. And we have a questions from Ali. The masterclass material, does it include a body of knowledge or literature so that participants could refer to any time after the end of the masterclass? That's a yes.
It's a great question.
Absolutely. I have tons of material now off my hard drive.
You get things as pre-reading, and you also get a bibliography, and you get probably in every module, there's one or two more references that pop up that we end up putting links to the chat box, because the conversations go in different places. But absolutely, you will walk away with a repository of articles, books, references, videos that you can watch, etc.
Amazing. Yes, and maybe a little bit like details about the masterclass, as I said. So the next one is going to be delivered, as far as I'm concerned, by you, Paul and Sean. It's starting June 6th, and it will end June 21st. So everybody will get the best of you in a really short time. Like you said, like a fire hydrant, drinking from the fire hydrant, right? And this class is also designed for different time zones, which is really interesting. So it's not just for America, not just for Europe, but also for parts in Asia Pacific. Yep. Paul, you wanted to say anything? Because
No, just, I mean, if we piqued your curiosity, feel free to send us more questions, and
yes.
Just know that when you come, bring all your questions and all of your experiences to the conversation, and the time will go by really fast.
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, I think we covered it all. Amazing. Thank you so much, you two. And I hope like the weather is going to get better in Freiburg, Andreas. And Paul, you're not going to get a sunburn soon in Arizona. And well, I hope to talk to you both soon, and have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you, Tina.
Take care, everybody.